Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
All right. Hey, Pete, how are you today?
I'm good, Ethan. How are you?
Everything is great. And I have just finished, hot off the presses, the press, so to speak, Moon Knight episode 3. We are now in Egypt. And do you want to summarize?
Even better.
Do you want to summarize?
Absolutely.
Please.
Absolutely.
Take it away.
So, we start off episode 3. As we saw at the ending of episode 2, we're now in Cairo. We're in Egypt. You know, he does that scene where he opens the windows and the curtains and you see the pyramids in the distance.
Yes.
So the main thing that we find out is that Mark Spector is on a mission. He's looking for information about Arthur Harrow. He's trying to find a way to get to him to stop him from, I guess, releasing or unearthing Amit's tomb and, getting control of Amit. And you see throughout the beginning, in the first 5 or 10 minutes or so, we see the emergence of a third personality. Well, we've had Mark Spector, who's this mercenary figure who's, action hero type. Then you have Stephen Grant, who's this mild-mannered museum gift shop clerk / attendant who's an amateur Egyptologist.
Yes.
And
amateur.
Then we have a third personality who appears in this episode and no one knows anything about him. And
it's very confusing. Yes.
It was super confusing. In fact, I had to watch that clip a few times before I understood what was happening. Because as in the first episode, we saw Stephen Grant wake up in a precarious situation, having taken control from Mark Spector. Mm-hmm. Now, we see Mark Spector wake up in a precarious situation where he literally is pulling a knife out of a bad guy, right?
Yeah.
And he's and he looks into the knife's reflection and he says, "Stephen, what did you do?" Yeah. And Stephen goes, "Hey, I didn't do it. What did you do?"
A lot of
so now
pointing.
We see that there's a third personality, right? Yep. And ultimately what happens in this episode is that we see that Khonshu gets the gods of Egypt to congregate in order to accuse Arthur Harrow. He is unable to successfully convince them that Harrow is after releasing Amit. More hijinks ensue. They find a way. Mark reunites with Layla, his wife, in Cairo. Mm-hmm. They find an alternate way to figure out where Amit's tomb is.
Yep. And
in doing so, Khonshu has to sacrifice himself to find that exact location.
He becomes ensconced in stone.
Correct.
Yep.
And the final bit of that episode is that Mark and Layla now have the location of the tomb, but Mark no longer has the powers of Moon Knight because Khonshu has been taken away.
So how do you... Where did we fall on the ratings of this series after episodes 1 and 2 last week? Can you remind me what you rated this as?
I can't remember what I rated it as. But at worst, I would have rated it as a mooch.
Oh.
And I was pretty sure that I was going to say subscribe by the end of this series, if not earlier. And I am very close to saying you guys should go out and subscribe to Disney Plus for this. I'm really close to it.
So let me give you my rating, and then without comment, and then I want to hear why you think so highly of it. I think this is a solid mooch. I think there's a lot of great things about it, but I'm not super compelled by any part of it. But tell me why you think this is getting you closer to subscribe rating.
So at the moment, what I really like about this show, first of all, is you have a main character or a superhero or protagonist, whatever you want to call him, in Mark Spector / Stephen Grant / ? You have someone who's clearly a broken man, right? You don't have someone, and broken in a different way than what we've seen of our other flawed superheroes in the Marvel Universe, right? You have someone who's got some kind of mental illness, right? Again, not glamorized in one way or another, not looked down on. There's no judgment call. So you have a character that's inherently flawed in doing so, right? Because when you and I say that only because when you think of your prototypical superhero, you think of almost like a perfect character, right? Which is fine, but it's only when you see a superhero who has character flaws that you really get to fall for that character a lot, right? That's, for me, one of the reasons why I think Batman is a more compelling superhero than Superman is, right? It's also a reason why later era Iron Man was more compelling to me than even some of
Captain
the other
America.
superheroes.
Yeah.
Captain America I have a crush on, so it's a separate thing.
So let me ask you a question though then, Pete. I mean, I take your point that we all somehow, are drawn to people with character flaws. If Moon Knight only had Mark Spector, it did not have Steven, how would you feel about this show?
I think it would be a little...
It needs that complexity somehow, right?
You need a little bit of comparison between the two. You need a little bit of point of difference.
Yeah.
Because Mark Spector, especially in this episode, you really see that Mark Spector is really the guy you call upon when it's a battle of brawn, right? When you need someone to defeat a group of 20 Egyptian jousters in the backyard of some black
what looked to be like the Louvre. What looked to be like the Louvre, yeah.
Exactly, right? So you want someone who's a battle-hardened tactical weapons master. But at the same time, you also want someone, when it's a battle of the mind, to be able to look at the star map and figure out what needs to be done, like Steven does. It's almost as if you split Indiana Jones in two.
Yeah, but can I ask you something? Why, I mean, has it been clear to you yet why Khonshu has, I don't understand. He's got two avatars. Like, when Steven looks in the mirror, he sees himself. When Mark looks in the mirror, he sees himself. Are these two characters, they're two different people? Are they doppelgangers? Do they really look like each other? I don't understand how we've got these. Forget the third personality. How do we have two people?
I think Khonshu chose Mark Spector.
Okay.
And Mark Spector, what Khonshu maybe didn't know, or maybe he did know, I don't know, but I think Mark Spector was a man who already had multiple personality disorder.
But when Layla looks at the guy, she sees Mark. She
now can tell the two of them apart.
By
because at the beginning,
visually, or just by their personalities?
I think by personality, right? Because in episode 2, when she meets when she meets Steven for the first time,
she thought it was Mark.
She thought it was Mark. She goes to his apartment, and I think she slowly pieces together by the end of that episode, hey, they're two different people in the same body, right? And then at the end of this episode, well, there were 2 points in this episode. One, when they're arguing in the Jeep, right? After they've collected the star map.
Yeah.
When they're arguing in the Jeep, she's like, I feel like there's so much you haven't told me, and there's so much I don't know about you. And he says, yes, because I've hidden that from you. She gets that together. And then when Mark, when they're in the desert and they're trying to figure out where the tomb is based on the star map that they pieced together, right? Or that they're trying to piece together.
Yeah.
Mark gets enraged because he can't figure it out, and he knows that he needs Steven's help for this.
Yes.
So remember, he breaks off the wing mirror of the Jeep, looks at Steven and says, okay, it's your turn now, you're up. Right? Just like when Steven took over Mark in the middle of that battle sequence, and you see him turn into the alternate fancy pants Mr. Three-piece suit Moon Knight.
Yeah.
And Steven all of a sudden gets impaled by these 20 jousting sticks, right? Or lances. All of a sudden, Steve goes, okay, no. You take control again. And he gives it up to Mark. I think this episode was really nice because it kind of sets both of them to say, hey, look, we're two different people in the same body, but we have different roles.
So if they're two different people in the same body, is it fair to say that it's one human being who really does have multiple personality, and however they've moved to London or were from somewhere originally, it's the same person. They really do have a dual personality. They call one the more violent, aggressive person Mark, the more demure academic person Stephen, but they are, for all intents and purposes, one single human, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And
so,
I think,
so Khonshu's kind of chose someone, and Khonshu, first of all, I'd love to know how these gods choose their folks. That's kind of interesting to me. But Khonshu's chosen Mark, and unbeknownst to him, he chose an avatar who's just got some mental issues, right?
Yeah, right. Or maybe he didn't. Again, we don't know. We'll maybe dive into that somehow. Maybe not. Maybe we will. But the point is that Khonshu's avatar is two people in the same body, potentially three people in the same body.
Or more.
Right? We don't know who that third person is, right? It could maybe even just have been Khonshu who overtook the body.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking.
That's what I thought too. But then I realized, like, that's after that scene where you see all the gods congregate and all their avatars congregate. Like, why would they? Why wouldn't they otherwise always just be that same character all the time?
Yeah.
Right? Why have the avatar system in the first place if they could do that? So I think that there is a third personality. I did some digging in the comics. There are a couple of different. There are three personalities.
Yeah.
Or not three personalities. So in the comics, it was less about personalities. It was just alter egos. Like it was the same guy with three different facades that he was portraying people as. And I think that's because, a circumstance of the era. I don't think a comic about a man with three different personalities would have done so well. I think it would have been like stigmatized very negatively.
Yeah.
So I think that's, a more modern take, which is to say, hey, look, we're not talking about three separate alter egos, because it's convenient. We're talking about three separate personalities because it's one man with, multiple personality syndrome or whatever it is.
Can I this episode I thought was very good to explain a few things. But one of the questions I have now, and maybe you can answer this for me, is Mark/Stephen don't really have any special powers. It seems as though the only special power they have is whenever they're wearing the suit, which is not always, by the way, because if you remember this first kind of like knife fist fight scene at a rooftop, right? That no one was wearing the suit at that time. That was a pure fist fight knife scene, right?
Yes.
There was no suit there at all, right?
Yep.
It was just bare knuckles fighting. Mark is, a good fighter. But at that time, Moon Knight didn't have any real special powers. He was just a good fighter, right? Where does the suit come in, and what are the properties of the suit? Because then when we saw Stephen, like you said, take over the suit, the three-piece suit comes out, and then, like, he gets stabbed with all these jousting poles. He didn't really have any damage. So the suit is bulletproof, but the pole, pierced it? Help me understand what are the properties of the suit and when the suit comes in. Or is this just a flaw in the storyline that I've caught?
I don't know if it's necessarily a flaw. It might have been an overlooked point. But my understanding is that when the suit is donned, right, when he summons the suit, Khonshu made a point of it. He gets rapidly healing powers, right? That was, I think, I remember hearing that specifically in the episode.
I agree.
You obviously see that he's able to generate and throw these, quote unquote, batarang kind of metallic objects, right?
Mm-hmm.
I call them batarangs only because, again, he's always been a guy who's most compared to Batman in the DC universe, right? So you see him take out those they look like batarang. They behave like batarangs, but they're shaped in like a crescent moon. He takes them from his chest, and he's able to fling them and kill people with them, right? You see, he can't fly, or it doesn't look like he can fly. First of all, that led to quite possibly the best visual of the night is when he jumps off of the Louvre-style pyramid. And he flashes his cape, and the cape is in the shape of a crescent moon.
That was cool. I agree. That was super cool, yeah?
Quite
super
possibly the visual spectacle of the episode, and this includes an episode where you see the formation of a solar eclipse and the stars moving. I thought that was brilliant.
Yep,
right.
I agree.
It was just a subtle nod to always remember the moon.
Yes.
Right. And you can see that, yes, he can withstand bullets, right? He shields Layla from this hail of bullet fire.
Yes.
So I think that it's a slight overlook that he was able to get impaled by these jousts, or maybe the bullets can go through his suit, but because of his super healing, they don't hurt him. It could be that too.
I mean, I saw those bullets really. I thought it was very clear that those bullets kind of like smashed into his. They didn't even bounce off. They seemed to just kind of like
hit and then fall down, right?
No, but I thought they like held fast to the suit, but they kind of like smushed flat. And then when he spun around, remember he did like a spin, and then all those bullets flew off, and then they mowed everyone down, right? So I felt like it was not armor piercing, like it was bulletproof. But then again, I was so confused, like how did these guys like stab him with a stick? you know, like
So I don't know if this is
because the sticks went through
an overlook.
The sticks went through him. They went through him. Okay, I'll go with the super healing that I can put my head around, but I don't understand how the sticks actually got through the suit.
I don't think it's a function of the suit. I don't think it's I think it might have just been like something that the director decided looked cool on screen, which it certainly did.
Yeah.
And maybe that was just something that, it was kind of like a goof.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, unlike most other superheroes we've been introduced to in the MCU, his superpowers are still relatively unclear.
Yeah.
Right?
I would say he doesn't have any super.
We don't actually know what the limits are exactly.
Yeah. He has. I agree. He seems to have a protective suit, and that suit gives him, I guess, some rapid healing powers. But I was a little bit more on board with that until he got impaled. I'm like, hey, like okay, like he's got a suit, like that's a power. Got it. Rapid healing is something different, but anyway, I'll go with it. That's where we are.
That's my feeling anyway. So I'm not sure. And then, we'll see. I think by the end of the season, we'll see a real emergence as to the Moon Knight, the superhero, versus Moon Knight, Remember, at the end of episode 2, I said, I hope in episode 3 we get to see more of Moon Knight. And this episode certainly delivered. We get to see a little bit more of his powers. Yeah. We get to see, that he's maybe not menacing, but he's certainly a powerful figure, especially in that suit. I did like to see that. I'm very, not upset, but I'm just a bit annoyed that now that we finally see that he's being a little bit more liberal with the suit, all of a sudden now his suit gets taken away from him.
Yeah.
Right? So he's no longer the avatar of Khonshu.
But again, that first scene, and I was super, that's why I'm a little bit confused. And I don't mean to harp on it or criticize, but I'm not clear. Like, that first scene, when Mark was on the rooftop fighting those 3 knife guys, he was fighting clearly as Mark, not as Moon Knight.
He gets cut by the knife.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right.
But why? I don't understand, like, why he didn't summon the suit or why he wasn't ensconced in the suit. I think that's the first time. Is that the first time we've seen Mark, right? We've seen Steven kind of running around the museum without the suit, but we've never seen Mark without the suit, have we?
No, we haven't. But I also think that, look, we know that Mark Spector is a mercenary.
Yeah.
Right? And, his expertise in getting information doesn't require him to get the suit, right? He's fighting just 3 normal street level idiots.
Maybe.
Why summon the suit unnecessarily? Maybe that could be it as well. I don't know. Look,
I got this.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Because
no need to flex.
Khonshu makes that point when before he turns into Moon Knight, in that scene, you see Khonshu standing on top of a clock, right?
Yeah.
And he says, okay, enough of this. Now it's time to don your suit. Right?
That's
and
a
I
good
think
point.
it's because even Khonshu recognizes at that point, okay, now Mark is going to be in on over his head.
Yeah.
You need to put the suit on.
So let me ask you, slight shift. What do you think of Layla? What do you make of Layla? Because that opening scene, typical Marvel, a very
funny.
an uneventful scene, but also a very good scene, right? They show like just mother-daughter making a fake passport somehow, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of dialogue makes them seem like, Layla's obviously in this business somehow, right? What do you make of Layla? She's just a human.
I like it.
She has special powers. What's her deal?
No. The way I see it is that Layla got into this business through her dad, right?
Yeah.
The exposition dump in that beginning, which what I liked about that scene was that it served as an exposition dump.
Yeah.
But it wasn't presented as an exposition dump.
Subtle.
Right? So I like that.
Yes.
So what I got from that exposition dump was that her dad was involved somehow in the black market of stealing Egyptian antiquities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And relics.
Mm-hmm.
That's why she's been in this business, because she understands it because she's been brought up in it. My understanding was that she doesn't steal for herself. She steals from the black market to return to their rightful owners, but she expects to get paid for it, right? So sometimes she may keep one or two things for selling. Throughout the episode, it was implied, even though it wasn't said, that Mark worked with her dad.
Yeah.
And based on what was said in the last episode, where Khonshu said, I want to take Layla as my avatar, not you. Harrow also makes a point to say that Mark is hiding the truth from you, right?
Yeah.
I have a sneaking suspicion what's going to happen, is going to be said, is that Mark and Layla's father were working together, or either together to find something or against each other to find the same object.
Okay.
And in that heist, Mark ended up having to kill Layla's father.
Oh, so good to piece that together, Pete.
I have a sneaking suspicion that there's something where either Mark was the one who killed her father, maybe by accident, maybe on purpose, we don't know. Or maybe that he was accidentally killed while Mark was supposed to be protecting him on this hunt or this relic thing. And they were already in some kind of relationship, whatever, and that's what he's hiding from from Layla. And I have a sneaking suspicion that this could either be the point where, they kind of get stronger together, or that they break, right?
Mm.
And I have a sneaking suspicion she thinks that's the case, but she's not sure.
Pete, I've got two amazing comments. First comment is, that makes so much sense. Because if you think of it that way, Mark was a normal guy, experienced a very traumatic event, right? Where possibly he killed or witnessed the death of his wife's, Layla, right?
Wife or girlfriend's father,
right, father.
Whatever. His father-in-law, right?
Right. He had an emotional breakdown. He took all of his knowledge about these Egyptian or ancient antiquities, relocated to London, got completely out of his, environment, and just worked at a gift shop, applying, the knowledge that he had. And that's why he has this alter ego named, Stephen. That's comment number one. You piece that together. It's brilliant. Comment number two, what you described is a lot like Uncharted.
Right?
A lot like Uncharted, yeah? Where I'm forgetting all the characters, right? Sully was Mark Wahlberg, and then Tom Holland was someone. It was Tom Holland's brother, right?
Yeah.
Who teamed up with Sully, and the brother allegedly died, although we found out at the end of the movie that he did not die. And the same thing, they were kind of on a heist together. Something bad happened, someone died, and now two people are either forced to become closer or further apart. So very, very clever how you piece that together. And now these are kind of falling in place. That explains the alter ego or the dual personalities. It doesn't explain what is potentially the third personality, but maybe that's still coming yet.
That's coming, right? And then I think that
So
maybe
good.
during that heist one of the things is that during that heist, potentially also what happened was maybe Steven got shot, right? Or Mark Spector got shot and was injured, and that's why Khonshu had to take him over as his avatar so that he could heal him with the suit.
Nice.
Right? Maybe.
Nice.
To be determined. All of this, I think, is going to come out in the next couple of episodes, especially because now that we don't have Khonshu and now that we don't have the suit, and they're going to have to work together as two regular humans, right? Yeah. Or three if you include Steven, right? What I think you're going to see is a lot of exposition while that's happening. I imagine what could happen is, like, I don't know if they're working in cahoots or not, but it seemed like one of the gods is, I can't remember who he was, whether it was Osiris or not, but his avatar was like almost, I got the feeling like they were working together behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But I wasn't, because remember, Arthur Harrow goes and sees Khonshu in the stone, in his entombed form, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if now, they see Mark and Layla are spied on by one of the other avatars. They save the day in episode 5, but while in doing so, Mark gets hurt really badly, or, Amit gets out and stabs Mark. And so the other gods that do witness that decide to break Khonshu out so that they can save him, so that he can be saved again. And then it'll be Moon Knight versus Amit / Arthur Harrow, when I think Amit will be, if and when he comes out, will probably take Harrow as his avatar, so that it'll be an Arthur Harrow as a superhero god supervillain god versus Mark Spector / Stephen Grant as another superhero god.
I mean, I think everything you've laid out makes a lot of sense, but I feel like there's still another wrinkle that's going to come out here.
What's that?
I don't know, but I feel like we haven't heard the last of the gods. There's
definitely not.
There's something in that meeting of the gods which makes me like, I don't really have like a strong premonition about how it's going to play out, but it seems as though this plan to resurrect Amit is going to be discovered, and then the gods need to do something, and I'm not sure what action they're able to take. I don't necessarily think they're going to like de-stone Khonshu, but it seems like something's going to happen. And if Amit is so strong, I guess I'm not sure, like, again, if Amit is stronger than the gods and can kind of like repel any, spell or action that the gods are going to take, or if it's just like the gods have said, look, we're out of this, let Amit do whatever she's going to do, we're not going to get involved. And it's really up to, Mark / Steven and Layla, to fix the situation. But I feel like somehow the gods have to get involved again. It can't be the end of them, because I think that Khonshu somehow has to come back because the suit needs to come back, right?
Again, I have a sneaking suspicion the gods are going to release Khonshu only as a matter of desperation, right? Because of all of them, none of them, I think, seemed like they were the warrior types. Khonshu actually is one of the warrior types. So I imagine that something like that is going to happen. Yeah. And maybe not all the gods. Maybe it'll be that, the avatar we met, I can't remember the name of the god, unfortunately. The one who was the avatar of the god of love and music or poetry.
Oh, yeah.
The one who actually gave him the information about where he could find an alternate way with the sarcophagus.
I can't find on IMDb who is this god. I don't find that they've actually named the god, because they named Horus, they named Tefnut, and they named Isis. But I didn't get the name of the god that lady portrayed.
Yeah, her name, she was Yatzil, but I don't know what
she was Yatzil, but they even in the credits it doesn't say who Yatzil represents. Who's her client? Yeah. Who's her client, so to speak? Let me ask a question. So we're on episode 3, right? How many episodes is this series going to be?
6 episodes, only 6.
The whole season is only 6?
Yeah, which is what I really like, actually. It's the equivalent of like a 4-hour movie.
I was very curious about this because... Oh, and then I'm going to have a hot take. I was very curious about this because I was wondering, like, is this moving too fast? And maybe I'm still wondering that. We're halfway in, right? We're at the halfway point, and we're deep into Egypt. Is this going to be where it ends, or are we going to end up in another country? What's your take on this?
Oh, I hope it stays in Egypt.
For 3 more episodes, so 4 in Egypt.
Yeah, I imagine, or maybe not the full episode. I imagine it'll be something like the next episode to 2 episodes. Between 1 and 2 episodes will be them at the tomb and Amit somehow getting released.
Yep. Amit's coming.
The effects of that.
Yeah.
He certainly has to be, right?
Yeah. Is it a he or a she?
Actually, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. It could be a she. Yep. Right? But the god, in either case, the god is somehow going to get released. And we'll choose Harrow as the avatar, right? Because, depicting gods on screen is one thing. Depicting their avatars is much easier, right?
Yeah.
You remove a lot of controversy that way.
Yeah.
So I imagine that Arthur Harrow is going to become the avatar of Amit. And I imagine that that's going to have some kind of negative consequence, at least where they are, whether that's in the tomb or whether that's in Egypt. And perhaps the last episode they're out of Egypt and, fighting their battle wherever they're fighting their battle. Yeah, what I don't want to see is something similar to Iron Man or Iron Man 2, where Amit's avatar also can turn into a character that looks like the Moon Knight, right, with a suit. Because it'll be the same problem that Marvel otherwise would have, which is, how do you make a villain equivalent to the superhero? Let's put the same superhero in a supervillain. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see another it's Iron Man versus Iron Man, right? Like what we saw in Iron Man 1, what we saw in Iron Man 2. I don't want to see that.
Yeah. I'm not sure where it's going. I mean, but I feel like what you're saying is right. I mean, it's obviously going to end up somewhere in the desert, and there we've seen really a huge tribute by Mohammed Diab to Egypt, right? I mean, this episode really focused on some very, very, like, a lot of music. It portrayed Egypt in a very positive way.
The marketplace was exactly what I would remember.
Her holding the bag of juice with a straw.
Bag of juice. As soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, this guy gets it. You know what I mean? Like, you would never have seen that with a Western director. I don't think you would have gotten
the taxi driver. Like, it was very, very
local.
Very local, and there was just a lot of love, I think, given to Egypt, Yes. But now we're obviously going to shift to the desert. We're going to shift to some tomb. We're going to shift to something else, right? So let's see what's that all about.
I like the show a lot right now because it's giving me strong Indiana Jones vibes.
It is.
Right? You're looking for some kind of ancient artifact / tomb. The good guy had it for a while. Yeah. The bad guy has it now. You still somehow managed to deduce the location.
It's a good change of pace. It's a good change of pace for Marvel, where they've kept all the kind of Marvel hallmarks. Although I feel like there's not enough humor, but they've kept the Marvel hallmarks. But I agree, they've shifted into antiquities, into mysticism. They've gotten away from the multiverse. They've gotten away from aliens. They've gotten away from all the other stuff that really dominates MCU. And they've just kind of taken the same blueprint, but they've kind of applied it backwards, into the past rather than forwards into future space and sci-fi-ness. And I think that's a very good change of pace to avoid too much fatigue and to do something really different. And kind of like, it's almost like a screening, right? They've almost kind of said, hey, 6 episodes of this, let's see how it goes. maybe we can build a. Am I being too dramatic by saying maybe they're kind of saying, hey, can we build a separate universe out of this stuff? You know?
I wouldn't go so far as to say universe, but I would definitely say franchise.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that they want to replicate the same thing they did with, lesser known characters like Ant-Man, and to a lesser extent with the Scarlet Witch, which is to say, let's introduce them, let's do it slowly, let's see if we can build a movie franchise around them. Yeah. Right? And they certainly have. I certainly think they will. So I looked it up. Oscar Isaac has only signed on with the Marvel Universe for Moon Knight for these 6 episodes. He has not signed a contract longer than that, which is rare, right?
Yeah. How much do you think how much do you think these episodes are costing? You and I have had a previous show where you said you've read that 9 episodes of Halo is coming in at $200 million. Right? About 22 million an episode. Where do you think we are with Moon Knight for 6 episodes?
So I'm looking it up here, and the rumors are that Moon Knight has a budget of between 100 to 150 million.
Okay. 100's pretty expensive. I mean, you're getting pretty good value, but that seems a little bit expensive, right?
Yeah, I'm not.
No,
actually, I wonder.
Special effects, locations.
You're getting a lot in location. You're getting a lot in some of the, I guess, the talent, but even then, that's not that much, right?
I mean, if you look at the talent. Here comes my disclaimer, with all my respect to everybody. Apart from Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke, love Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke isn't A-list. He's definitely recognized, but he's not A-list. Apart from those two, I don't know Layla May Kalamai. I mean, F. Murray Abraham, of course, I loved him in, what did I love him in? What's the gaming show? Mythic Quest. I mean, he is not expensive, I imagine. All the other folks are, not very well known. I'd be surprised if there's a lot of expense for these folks. I mean, they all deserve to be well compensated, but Oscar Isaac's really the only A-list, right? Is he A-list?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ethan Hawke is as well, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah. That's a debate point.
Yeah, that's a different point. Yeah,
that's okay. Another place I'm reading this says that look, most of the TV series have been budgeted at $10 million per episode, and some of them, theoretically, Moon Knight could be up to $25 million an episode.
Wow,
which I don't see. I don't see it, but. Having said that, if I imagine Moon Knight as a movie, they would easily spend $100 to $200 million making that movie.
Yeah, I guess for me, what I'm less concerned about, because I can't put $25 million into perspective, to be honest. I mean, I don't know what the budget is. That could be high, that could be low. Instead, I'd like to know, like, what is the cost of Moon Knight versus Halo versus Winning Time versus Travelers versus, and just Game of Thrones, right? Throw a bunch in and just kind of understand, like, where does it fall on that scheme, right? Because it can't be, it's unlikely in my mind that all episodes have the same budget. There's dramatic differences, right? Whether it's CGI, whether it's cast, whether it's location. Overall. Yeah. But the hot take I wanted to make, tell me if you are aligned with this. 6 episodes. That seems like something that you should put in a cinema. I mean, we sat through 3 hours of Batman, right? Is there any reason why we couldn't do a 3 and 3 watching Moon Knight? Would you go to a cinema and watch 3 back-to-back-to-back episodes of Moon Knight? I would.
I don't know, man. That's a tough call. If without cutting it so that it's still 6 episodes, but you're just watching 3 in a row and
make it
3 in a row?
Part 1, part 2.
I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. I think it's a bit... The problem is
would
that
you do all
it's
6?
really
Would you-
slow paced.
Would you do all 6 in one showing?
If you had 6 hours and if you were able to cut this 6 hours into, I'll be generous, into 3, which I still think is going to be too long for a movie, right? For a superhero movie of this kind. I think that if you were able to cut the 6 into 3, I'd say do it as a movie. I think if you were able to cut the 6 into 2, you should definitely do it into a movie. And I'll give you the exact example for that. Was WandaVision.
Yeah.
It was the first major TV series in the MCU, and it was 7 episodes. And my feeling on WandaVision was they should have just released this as a 2-hour movie because it was out of the 7 episodes. And this is maybe my hot take. I think it was like 3.5 to 4 episodes too long.
You're really negative on WandaVision, which I did not watch because of your negativity.
In principle, I really liked it. I liked what they were trying to do, but I just don't think they needed to do it for as long as they did. But I don't think it was 7 hours of content in that.
But is each episode truly an hour? If you cut off the opening, if you cut off the ending, if you cut off on the last episode,
okay, 50 minutes.
50 minutes times, it's a long one.
350 minutes. It's a long one.
But don't you think you and I would go to a cinema? Just throwing this out as a business idea, and you tell me if it would work. If they said, "Hey, watch all 6 back to back to back to back to back." I hope that's 6 backs, right? This is what it's going to be. It's going to be, let's put it in dollars, right? It's going to be $35, and we throw in popcorn, a burger, and a Pepsi. Yeah? And we take a 10-minute intermission after the third. Would you do it, or would you watch it at home?
Look, first of all, if they did it for $35, I think that'd be pretty good value if you got all that stuff for free on the side.
Yeah.
Right? But I don't think they'll do it for $35 because think about it this way. At most, now you're talking about 1 screening a day per screen. Right? Because you're talking about 6 hours, right? So you can't do 2 or 3 showings because there's only 24 hours in a day, and who's going to go watch the movie at 8 a.m., right? Or the TV series at 8 a.m.
Well, I would, and you would. But normal people know.
Normal people will not. Yeah, we are abnormal people, right? So when you look at it that way, my take would be that the cinema would then have to dedicate 1 screen for 1 showing for whatever that price is. Forget about the price. It's hard to justify that for the cinema.
You're right.
Right?
You almost have to charge for 2 movies, and then you're charging. How much do you pay for cinema in London?
Depending on where I go, at cheapest £10 or £8, 8 to £10. At most expensive £25.
Whoa.
Per movie.
The same type of seating?
And that's, by the way, standard seating. If I'm looking at VIP seating, I'm looking at £15 at cheapest, and then like closer to £30-35 for.
So we're looking at, so premium is like £60. £60, I agree. It doesn't really make sense. No one's going to pay £60 to watch this. It's too long. And you could probably, how much is a subscriction to, what is it?
$7 a month. So I'm paying $14 to get,
right.
£7. So I'm paying £14. The equivalent of 1 ticket.
You're right.
I'm paying for the whole series.
I withdraw the suggestion. You're right. We workshopped it. It doesn't work. Although I'd like to do it, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, I think, you're onto the right thing. I think some of these shows, I get why Disney is doing that, right? Because what they're doing is they're getting more bang for the buck in terms of entertainment hours, right? They're getting more content for the same price.
Yep.
So if I'm spending $150 million and I'm getting a 2-hour movie, or if I'm spending $150 and getting a 6-hour TV series, in terms of content for my platform, I will spend that same money and get 6 hours, right? I'm getting 3 times as much content that I can sell to somebody.
Do you think that the profile of that, it'd be interesting? I know you don't know the answer, but it would be interesting to know, does Disney make more money releasing a 6-episode series of Moon Knight, or saying, let's just put it as a movie, we'll market it, we'll distribute it, and we'll make, this isn't $1 billion movie, this is a couple $100 million movie, right? What's better for them?
I think the TV series only because of who Moon Knight is. I think Moon Knight is such a niche character in the Marvel back catalog that it wouldn't make sense. Now, having said that, instead of doing a second series of Moon Knight, once they've established Moon Knight, once they've hired Oscar Isaac to be in like a couple of cameo sequences in a couple of their movies, and then say, okay, now we're going to throw you on the big screen, that's different.
Is WandaVision... I mean, I'm trying to think of all the examples of something that's done a cinema to television crossover. WandaVision is kind of, right? Mm-hmm. Disney's done it with Star Wars, obviously more and more. Yeah. Marvel has done it with a few standalone series.
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yes, Falcon and Winter Soldier and Hawkeye.
They did it with Loki.
And Loki.
And then there's like a couple more that they're going to do now after this.
Yeah, but they haven't done anything new, right? All those were already established in film, and then they made them into, right? Hawkeye, Winter Soldier.
Exactly. So Moon Knight is the first.
Yeah.
Then we're going to see Ms. Marvel. I think she comes out after. And then we're also going to at some point see She-Hulk. So those are all three brand new.
How is Ms. Marvel different from
Captain Marvel?
Yeah, Captain Marvel.
So Captain Marvel is played by Brie Larson.
Yeah.
Then you have Ms. Marvel is played by a character known as Kamala Khan. She's the first Pakistani American superhero in comics. So she's like the first South Asian character of real I don't want to say importance or value. I mean in terms of real power and significance. And
yeah, I know Ms. Marvel. She's got like the lightning bolt on her.
She's got the lightning bolt. She's got the powers. Like she can. She's almost like a little bit like Mr. Fantastic. She can extend. She can make her
This is going to be a film, right?
No, so this is going to be in the TV series first. So that comes out. I think that's the next Marvel property, and that'll probably come out after Obi-Wan.
Oh.
So for someone like Ms. Marvel, when you're using a very young actor who doesn't have much on-screen experience as compared to someone like Brie Larson, who's an Oscar winner, right? Yeah. And when you have someone who's a new version of a character that most people are aware of or have known, I can understand why they want to quote unquote develop her. Think of this as like the in baseball, right? Like you have your development league, you have your like AAA clubs versus your major league teams, or you're like in basketball, you have the G League. You know, they have the team where you kind of get your practice and you get your reps, and then you get thrown out onto the big screen. That's what I think of Marvel is doing and what Star Wars is doing, which is to say, hey, let's build up your audience. Let's build up your fan base. Let's get people aware of who you are as a character and then as a superhero. And if we think there's good enough traction, let's throw you on the big screen to play with the big boys.
Yeah, you're right. That makes sense.
So that's my feeling, right? I agree with your point. It doesn't kind of make sense at that same point. If you're still spending the same money, where do you spend it? Do you spend it on a movie or do you spend it on a TV series?
Yeah.
I still think for these characters who are relatively unknowns, a TV series is better because, frankly speaking, can you imagine if we had to sit through a 3-hour-long Moon Knight movie or even a 2-hour-long Moon Knight movie? They would not have been able to give us the nuance of this multiple personality behavior. They wouldn't have been able to give us this nuance of what happened to the father or what's the relationship like with other gods and their avatars. It would have been too rushed.
So this is so we're halfway through episode 3. A lot's happened in just 3 episodes.
That's what I like about this show.
Yeah. I mean,
WandaVision took its time. This one is still, don't get me wrong, 6 episodes is still a lot, but it doesn't feel like it is, and it's moving. It's constantly moving.
It is constantly moving. I mean, I wouldn't say that there's so much. Actually, I would say there's a lot of action. There's 2 in this last episode. There were 2 distinct action scenes, right? The one with the knives at the rooftop, and with the jousting sticks outside the
fake pyramids.
Yeah, two dramatic action scenes. Which, not to pile on, contrast it with Halo, that had
one in the first episode, and that's it.
Yeah, and it has like like in this last episode, it had kind of half a one when they were back on Madrigal. Remember, it was there was like an assassination.
Where he shoots the assassination.
Yeah, that's right.
Where he disrupts the assassination event. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So we stay tuned next week. We hit episode 4.
That's right. Episode 4 comes out on, I think, Wednesdays/Thursdays. So we will be able to give you a review next Monday thereafter.
Listeners, send us your comments. Send us your questions. We'll be here to answer them next week, yeah?
That's right.
All right, Pete. Always a pleasure. Happy viewing.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.